What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dark Sage's Interlude. I'm your host, Chase the Dark Sage, and this show is brought to you by Beyond Beats and Culture, the best hip-hop show and platform on YouTube itself. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like the video if you haven't already. And this is a show, if you have not been told already, that this is about my niches, the things that I like to talk about in hip-hop that I can't necessarily fit on Beyond Beats and Culture, the actual show itself. So today, we're here with another episode. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. We're talking about Chamillionaire's The Sound of Revenge. Oh, yes, sir. This is what I would like to hashtag appropriate glaze, because if you do not know, Chamillionaire is one of my favorite rappers of all time. In fact, my second, right behind Bun B, because when it came to me actually getting into rap, first of all, I was living in Houston, right? The whole Houston not resurgence necessarily, but like that 2005 domination that was happening. I was living in Houston at the time. I could say that I was like in the mix at that time. I was like 9 or 10. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really in the mix, but you know, I heard all these songs on the radio. I heard these songs around. And obviously when it comes to Chamillionaire, while he doesn't have the most popular discography, is what I like to say, he has one of the most, I would like to say, biggest songs in hip-hop with Riding Dirty, and that song comes from The Sound of Revenge. Now when it comes to a solo debut, especially coming out of Houston, I think this is easily top 5 out of all of them, because that year in 2005, while everybody else had that Houston sound, had that Houston slang, Chamillionaire really stood out with this album of The Sound of Revenge, especially with some of the singles that he released, some of the people he collabed with, some of the Jesus, I cannot speak this morning, some of the producers that he had on the album, and just the way that he was rapping on there. Because the one thing that makes Chamillionaire unique, especially that makes him stand out amongst his peers, his rapping ability, his pen game, his flow, and his witty and clever bars. Now this man Chamillionaire, he also has a great sense of humor and charisma when he is on the mic, especially when he has certain skits on his albums or projects, like he does on this album right here, that actually go into other projects. But he's also one of the more harder working artists from Houston as well, even though Houston artists kind of have this like grind mindset where they put out a lot of stuff, but Chamillionaire was like super early on that, before like after his departure from Swisher House and while he was being a solo rapper, especially with his series, The Mixtape Messiah. Oh my gosh. This man is a beast. This man is truly the mixtape god that's in the title of those mixtape name series, with Mixtape Messiah 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one, 7. Oh my gosh. This man Chamillionaire is a genius and a beast all at the same time. I told you, this video right here, appropriate glaze. This is like the second time I've talked about Chamillionaire on the Dark Sage's Interlude. My first episode was about Chamillionaire actually coming back to hip hop, because if you did not know, he took a super long break from hip hop, but now he's back in the mix. He has this whole little website that he has happening. Apparently at the time we recording this video, which is like in April, he has about 3 songs, and the message and forum boards, it's all active. Like, I'm not in it yet, but I should be in it soon, because I do want to hear those new songs, because Chamillionaire is somebody I want to hear from. Chamillionaire is like one of those Nipsey Hussle types where he had that early grind mentality and that very what would you call it, the not entrepreneur, even though it is entrepreneur, but you know, basically like independent. He had that very independent mindset when it came to him actually releasing the music. He had a whole bunch of issues with UMG. He had a whole bunch of things that he was doing to actually form this very niche but very tight-knit fan not group, not club, but I guess fan base, you could say. And he's just been so active in it during that time, especially with him being one of the first rappers to really have a website, really have a message and forum board on there, and actually interacting with his fans, especially like on social media, Twitter, and creating the app Convos. Now we already know Chamillionaire, a lot of people say that, you know, he made a lot of his money like in tech, which he probably did. He made a good amount. He was one of those early investors in Lyft and plenty of other companies as well. And he's become one of those serial entrepreneurs within hip hop, one of the smartest brains that even Bun B has said to be able to grace hip hop culture itself. And Chamillionaire has been very early on to discover certain things. I've noticed this. Other rappers have noticed this. We've all praised the genius of Chamillionaire, but I know we're here for The Sound of Revenge. This is not Chamillionaire Glaze video. I just had to get some of that stuff out because I wasn't able to talk about that stuff in the earlier video, and I gotta talk about this stuff right now because, like I said, Chamillionaire, one of my favorite rappers of all time. But today we're going to be talking about The Sound of Revenge. Like I said, one of the best solo debut projects coming out of Houston. Let's go ahead and actually talk about it. Boom, we got The Sound of Revenge. It came out November 22nd, 2005. Now this is the reason why it's probably one of the best. It was 7 days before my birthday. You get what I'm saying? This was like a week before my birthday. You get what I'm saying? So this had to be the best because Chamillionaire knew like my birthday was coming up. He was like, yo, I gotta give Chase like this special birthday gift right here. I gotta make it go crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta make this album really good, which he really did. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Sound of Revenge came out, like I said, November 22nd, 2005. It actually debuted on Billboard 200 at number 10, selling 130,000 copies in its first week, and later became certified platinum, which is so crazy. And when we look at the singles from it, we got the first single, Turn It Up, which actually features Lil Flip, really good track. I believe they have an actual, like, I like to deem it a sequel track called Track Record on mixtape Messiah 6. Really good track. It gives me that Turn It Up energy from that track, and it's just a really good beat overall as well. And then we got the second single, Riding, which is Riding Dirty. You know, they see me rolling, they hating. Like I said, one of the biggest songs in hip-hop. I feel like everybody of all races, this has that crossover appeal that everybody knows this song. You know this meme, especially during this time. Then we got the third track, Grown and Sexy, which I never really heard that much growing up, but because I listened to the album a lot, I know the song itself. But let's actually go ahead and go over the track list right here. 16 tracks, 71 minutes, 15 seconds. Now, because of it being one of those older albums that came out during the early 2000s, does it stay like, was it stay the welcome of its course or whatever it's called? Basically, is it too long? Pause. Kind of, but I mean, for the time, you never knew when the rapper was going to come out with another project, or you never knew like when you was going to get your next project, and these albums actually lasted a long while. So having a project this long, no pause on that. It's not a problem, but in today's day and age, especially when you hear 2 hooks or 3 hooks, do you hear a third verse? I'm like, all right, come on, let's keep this ball rolling. But going into the intro, I think that Chamillionaire really set the tone with this intro right here with the Sound of Revenge. And to me, the Sound of Revenge is like when people say, like, when guys are like in that grind mentality, they want to get back at all the people that was hating on them and downing on them. Success is the best revenge. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like he was like, yo, the people that was downing on me, that was sleeping on me, that was hating on me, this is the Sound of Revenge, because I'm a successful solo artist. We got to remember, this is after him and Paul Wall broke up. Him and Paul Wall were in that group. They made the album Get Your Mind Correct. They was on Swisher House and all that type of stuff. This is after this. So him coming out with a really strong solo debut like this is the Sound of Revenge. It's showing you guys like, yo, I could be a successful rapper on my own. Then we get In the Trunk, which is the second track, you know, boom, in the trunk, bang. I love this album. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Chamillionaire is one of my favorite rappers. Surprisingly though, this isn't one of my favorite projects from Chamillionaire. Like a lot of the mixtape Messiahs would probably be in my top 5 of Chamillionaire's projects itself. But In the Trunk is a really good second track in terms of like giving us that hype track, but also it's followed up by Turn It Up featuring Lil Flip, who gave a really good verse. Chamillionaire showing you some of his melodicness. He actually shows a good amount throughout this whole project itself, where he has these melodies that he kind of uses in the song, kind of like how Zero does as well. But Zero kind of tries to like sing. Chamillionaire just tries to like harmonize and melody and give you melodies with it. But we got Turn It Up, which I really love it. I really love Lil Flip's verse, and I really love Chamillionaire's third verse. Oh my god, I'm headed to the bar, I'm headed to the bar. See, I told you. And I actually had this on vinyl. This was my first vinyl record that I ever had in my collection because my mom had it. Like, what's my mom doing with the vinyl record of this single right here? Like, come on, what my mom know about Chamillionaire? You know what I'm saying? I'll just play. But then we got track 4, Riding Dirty, featuring Crazy Bone, which obviously this is a song where it's like, you're putting the medicine in the candy right here. You're giving us a song that has a good message, not like a good message behind it, but has some messaging behind it while also being very catchy. And on surface level, you're like, oh yeah, this song is bumping. But he kind of lays it out on what he's trying to say in his third verse. Well, technically his second verse, but on the third verse of the actual song itself, about racial profiling and police brutality, about, you know, stereotypically has police seeing black people in a car, obviously, and thinking that they have something in them just because they're black, and driving a car itself. And in the music video itself, it has Debo, RIP to the actor that plays Debo, playing a police officer right there, detaining someone. But then we get track 5, No Snitching, with a hook from Bumby and not a verse. Chamillionaire, what are we doing? You gotta have Bumby on a verse. This is for my true. Come on, man, you can't tease me like that. 2 of my favorite rappers on the same song. What are we doing right here? But yeah, basically self-explanatory. No snitching, no snitch. But then we got track 6, which is, to me, top 3 tracks on this project right here. Southern Takeover, featuring Killer Mike and Pastor Troy. Now, Killer Mike, he was so aggressive. Oh, his presence on the mic, yes sir. This wasn't the super duper lyrical spiritual miracle Killer Mike that we know of him as of today, because he's definitely grown as a rapper since this time. But man, Killer Mike with his first verse, and then Chamillionaire coming on the second verse, and the flow that Chamillionaire has. And that's the one thing I gotta praise Chamillionaire on with this, was because on this project right here, he displays plenty of flows. He always is switching it up. He never has the same timey flow. Like, this boy is always switching it up. On here, he gave you a little fast pace, like rapid fire flow right here, and I'm like, I love it. But then Pastor Troy, I get it. He got the hype voice when he's rapping on this track, but he don't have like the charm, the charisma, or like the aggression that Killer Mike or Chamillionaire has itself. It's a cool little verse that Pastor Troy gives. I'm not gonna disrespect it, but I mean, come on, Killer Mike and Chamillionaire on the same song, which they obviously have garnered a great relationship past this, because they obviously collaborated since then. Then we get track 7, which is Radio Interruption, and this is one of the times where Chamillionaire really shows his comedic timing, his sense of comedy, or a sense of, what is it? I can't think of it right now in the morning, but he's basically showing like he has a sense of humor, right? And he's like, oh, what, we don't play none of that Chamillionaire. It's funny how he always, like, in a skit, he gets people like to mispronounce his name, like on purpose, because they're like, oh, Chamillionaire, we don't care about him. But you know, this track is like, okay, yo, I'm gonna rap my thing, but also I gotta make a song for the ladies, even though the song really isn't about the ladies. But I also want to commemorate the Beat Bullies on this production, on this whole album, because the Beat Bullies, they did a really good job on this project right here in terms of like production. It gave it this weird, I want to say quirky like production where it's like it feels like it's like underground, like it feels so like, I don't want to say grungy, but that's the best way I could describe it in terms of like, when I hear it, what do I think? Now, I'm not saying it's literally grungy, but I can't describe the actual production, but I really do like the production at the Beat Bullies, because they mostly layered on this whole project, which makes this album have somewhat of a consistent and cohesive sound overall itself. Then we get Frontin', which is one of those like hype tracks, which I really do love. Frontin' is really good. Then we get Grown and Sexy, the third single on here, which I thought was cool. Chamillionaire is obviously talking about a woman, so there's not really much for me to say. But then we got track 10, which to me shows the uniqueness and creativity of Chamillionaire, where he meets his girl at the bar. And this is a storytelling track. He meets his girl at the bar who was with his ex-best friend, who eventually she admits to killing him, because, you know, he's done some heinous things to her, obviously, but she admits to killing him by giving him AIDS. Chamillionaire, where are we going with the storytelling? This is what I'm talking about, with the uniqueness and creativity of Chamillionaire himself. Then we get track 11, which is one of the top 3 tracks on this project itself. Notice how I'm not putting the singles in there. Trust me, the B-sides on here, oh, they're cooking. Chamillionaire was cooking on these B-sides. Now, track 11, Rain featuring Scarface, obviously legend from Houston. Top 3 from Houston. Come on, top 5 all time. Scarface, baby, yes sir, right? But on this track right here, the one thing I love about being a fan of Chamillionaire is that he has this EP that came out in the 2010s called Rainfall EP, right? And on that same EP, he has a track called Rainfall. It's REIGNFALL. That's Rainfall, right? But it's kind of like a sequel like track to this right here, and Scarface and Killer Mike are both on this track, which go over the same subject matter of like, yo, you can have a depressing day, the rain is pouring, but you got to push through, you got to keep going. And I love the messaging behind this type of track right here, with Billy Cook on the actual hook, Scarface on the verse, and Chamillionaire doing his thing as well. This is one of those tracks that I'm glad got a sequel, because especially as they've gotten older, as they've learned new things, Chamillionaire was on his independent route. Him having a sequel track and getting Scarface again on this track on the Rainfall EP was such a nice taste. Like I said, as a Chamillionaire fan, you're gonna know that, because going back to this and then having that, it's like a sweet treat, you get what I'm saying? Then we get track 12, Picture Perfect, and like I said, Chamillionaire, you can't tease me with the Bun B hook and not give him a verse. Now we got a Picture Perfect, now we got the song Picture Perfect, where it's that flexing song. It's that song where it's like, yo, I'm the best. Like, come on, like, come on, look at the life I'm living right now. This is Picture Perfect, with Bun B chopped and screwed kind of like on the bridge, but also Bun B has a verse as well. Bun B, stellar verse, phenomenal verse as usual. Then we get the Manny Fresh produced song Fly as the Sky featuring Lil Wayne and Rasak, who was Chamillionaire's little brother. This is one of those Manny Fresh type beats, one of those bling era type songs right here. Flexing song again, I'm Fly as the Sky. Come on, we know what's happening right here. But we have the young Lil Wayne right here, and Lil Wayne gave a really, really good verse. I miss this Lil Wayne right here. Then we get track 14, Peeping Me, which, you know what I'm saying, this is about, I believe, a woman, you know, saying like, yo, you see me, like, come on, like, I see you looking at me, come on, girl, you know what you're looking at. You got another lady track. Then we got track 15, Void in My Life, which I think is a good song. Then we get track 16, the outro song, which I think is a good closer to the album itself. Now, this album right here, the beat bullies, man. Soul Messiah. The production on this album. I know I didn't talk about it a lot on this project right here, but oh my gosh, player and skills on Riding Dirty's production. Scott Storch on Turn It Up. What are we talking about? What are we talking about right now? This album is layered. This album was laced with crack, god dang it. Chamillionaire was on his ish. That pen game, that lyricism, the melodies. Chamillionaire, man, one of the best rappers to have ever graced hip-hop himself in terms of like everything he's doing, business ventures outside of the actual music itself, but also what he was doing in the music, the movement that he had, especially with Chamillionaire, man, everything that was happening on that front right there. Chamillionaire has to be respected within the rap game. Now, I know he's one of those regional legends that we talk about. We've talked about this on the show before, where everybody might not necessarily be a legend overall in hip-hop, like a top 100 legends, but when it comes to regional legends, we got to rank things a bit differently. Chamillionaire is definitely top 10 within the regional hip-hop scene in the South itself. Mixtape Messiah series, the Ammunition, Rainfall, Elevate EP, Major Pain series. What are we doing over here? I'm just saying, we gotta give Chamillionaire his props, and this is the time for me to give him his props, especially from where he's gone from 2005, doing everything he was doing, kind of having the Houston culture, but being a lot different compared to his peers, because when you listen to him rap, he doesn't have that super southern drawl that like a Paul Wall, Slim Thug, or maybe a Bun B has, but he's more akin to a Bun B because of the way he articulates and the way his pen game is in terms of his rapping ability and his articulation. Those two are way more similar than a lot of people think. Bun B's voice is obviously more aggressive and more ferocious, but Chamillionaire, he's a lot more smooth, a lot more laid back. But the way that he raps, the way that he demonstrates a lot of different flows, Chamillionaire is one of the GOATs, man. Let's talk about it in the comment section. But you guys let me know, and I know this is more so a Chamillionaire glaze fest, which, like I said before, appropriate glaze. This is what we're doing right here. But I gotta say that I really love this project. Chamillionaire is one of my favorite rappers of all time. When it comes to like his discography, when it comes to like this intro project, and then him following this up with Ultimate Victory, what are we talking about, man? We gotta have conversations over the music, man, because Chamillionaire, he's one of those slept on gems in hip hop. I'm just saying, if you do not know Chamillionaire outside of Riding Dirty, this is your time to do your research. Go on streaming services. Well, at least as of the time of this recording, like I said, this is April right now. At the time of this recording, all the Mixtape Messiahs and Major Pains and all that is on streaming, but he said that he was gonna take them off of streaming. So, hey, you better listen to it while you can. But I mean, by the time this video comes out, if they're not on streaming services, I'm sorry. You should have been doing your research. You've had years to catch up on this, but it's all right. You can always go to his website and possibly sign up for the membership. I believe the lowest tier is $5. It's like Patreon, and you could get the mixtapes yourself, I think, or you could just support them online and buy them on any other website. I believe. Hopefully that actually goes to Chamillionaire himself. But yeah, shout out to my boy RB Reyes, man, because I remember the day he posted about Chamillionaire's website on Twitter, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what are we talking about? Why is no hip-hop news or outlet talking about this right now? So shout out to him, because I had to make a video on this, and this is what really introduced me talking about you know, making the whole Dark Sages Interlude thing right there. So yeah, shout out to my boy RB Reyes. I gotta give him his props, man. Without him, I don't know, the Dark Sages Interlude would have been a thing without him. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, first video was about Chamillionaire and his new website, him coming back to hip-hop. So yeah, I just want to do a little glaze fest, you know, give my flowers to Chamillionaire, one of my favorite rappers of all time. I just had to do that because it felt right, you know what I'm saying? I was here to bask in all the glory when Chamillionaire was super active in the music scene. So I just gotta share my fandom, my fanness, my glaze fest with you guys. This video is looking like a Krispy Kreme right now. But before we actually head out to the video, like I said before, comment in the comment section down below. What is your favorite tracks off of The Sound of Revenge? Do you like The Sound of Revenge? Have you heard The Sound of Revenge? How has it aged for you? Overall, I don't think that this is Chamillionaire's best project. There are some songs that I would take off of this, obviously, but for the times, for the bling era of rap, for the Houston era of rap that was happening that year in 2005, this is cool. This is good. I like this, and it's definitely unique, and it's definitely different, and stands out amongst his peers and what they were releasing at the time as well. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you think about The Sound of Revenge down in the comment section down below. This is the 20-year anniversary video for it, so we gotta talk about it a little bit. Let's have a conversation about it down in the comment section down below. But yeah, this has been another episode of the Dark Sages Interlude. If you have not already, like and subscribe if you want more hip-hop news and content in your feed. But my name is Chase the Dark Sage, and I'm out. Peace.
See, when I ain't had no money, I still had sauce. See, if you don't got no sauce, then you lost.